Hey, it's your old pal Lucid Stew, and it's time for fun with cubes. Our first cube is the most detailed cube you can make at a cost of 24% graphics thermo. Check out those edges. And another look at that outside of sculpture detail mode. Can you make things without fuzzy edges? Yes, you can, but if you make things this detailed, it'll cost you. This is my homepage in Dreams. My wallpaper is a screenshot I took of a scene I made with 10 million cubes in it. I did this by making a sculpt with 1,000 cubes in it and then copying that sculpt 10,000 times. Final thermo was 96% gameplay, 24% graphics. Here I'm starting with a super sharp 24% graphics cube and I'm sizing it up. You can see the detail is still impressive even when the object is significantly larger. I'm going to take that same cube and spray paint it. Notice the spray paint detail afforded by Max Sculpture Detail. I am painting this with random oranges. There have to be thousands of edits here. I am then going over the whole thing with low opacity blue to create all sorts of strange neutrals. End result, no effect on graphics thermo. Given the volume of edits, this should increase load time, and even though the thermo allows it, it almost surely affects performance on some other level. I then take that cube and copy it 10,000 times. In thermo is 96% gameplay, 24% graphics. From experiments like this, the object limit for the gameplay thermo seems to be 10,330, plus or minus a few either way. Keep in mind, in order to hit that limit, you're going to need lots of copies of one thing or another. I'm going to do that one more time with the cube at standard detail. That is a 2x2x2 cube at grid size 1 without any detail adjustment. That cube will be 1% gameplay, 1% graphics thermo, and the end result of 10,000 copies is 96% gameplay and 1% graphics thermo. So there you have definitive visual confirmation that copies are essentially free from a graphics thermal standpoint. Another experiment I performed was to take that grid of 10,000 standard cubes and repeatedly reduce sculpture detail. This results in some very odd behavior. Eventually the shapes become unrecognizable as cubes and they blend together into a single odd mass. Go far enough and the mass begins to grow. When I got to that point, the frame rate was dive bombing and the fan on my PlayStation was so loud I thought it might be ready for takeoff. I also stumbled onto something about sculpture detail reduction that might be a little more practical. Here I am making a sculpt from 9 contiguous cubes and then copying that a bunch of times. When I reduce detail far enough, the one solid mass starts to look a lot like it's comprised of blocks. I didn't have time to take this further, but this could be a worthy method of making block walls or floors or tiles. I did not check the graphics thermo at any point, but it is low. As long as it stays below 4% and sufficiently low detail to create gaps, I think this is a viable method. And the last thing I did was continue reducing sculpture detail until the whole thing more or less disappeared. So be careful when taking sculpture detail way down. You could lose track of the sculpt completely. That concludes this series of tests. I hope you enjoyed them. In upcoming videos I'm going to be looking at dreams creations by other people, so keep an eye out for that, and I'll see you next time.